All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Football Amigo. My name is Sam. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Football Amigo. My name is Sam. Thanks for joining us. If you didn't catch any episode before now, you will catch one. All right, we just come here, talk about football, and show our passion, our amateur level of analysis, and we put in some you know, coach perspective and all of that. Today, as always, I will have my two friends over here and I'll let them introduce themselves. Let's go, Mide.
Fellow amigos, glad to have you here again in our second installment of this video cast. We're looking forward to sharing some of our knowledge about what's going on in the EPL. We might give some introduction to what's going on in the second division of the English league, which is known as the English Championship League. Kind of talk about a little bit about promotion and relegation there, just to kind of educate you all. Then, of course, we're going to talk about Arsenal today and Liverpool tanking. It might be a therapy session for one of my amigos here, Sam. I think he's gonna need it tonight. But yes, looking forward to it.
Hey, I'm Ayo Yahaya, resident Arsenal fan in here. Just love spending time with my other amigos, We're just friends, just over here being humble, just talking about sports in a non-biased and hopefully joyful way. Hey, take it away, Mide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see about that, especially after the win today. I don't know how humble that is. I think you're just absolutely rubbing it in, but we'll talk about that later. Liverpool, where do we start? I feel like the wheels are about to fall off just a little bit. And watching the game this week, I sat there and I was thinking to myself, why has a team that have been doing so well then towards the mid to the end of the season hear that their coach is leaving, and then all of a sudden there is a disconnect with the team, the results start to tank. More recently with the Europa European Cup game where the Italian club Atlanta played them at home and beat them 3-0, and then they could only go to Italy to play Atlanta, and the game ended 1-0, right? Yes, they won, but Atlanta won on aggregates, meaning that they scored more goals than the other team between two legs. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I've heard so many news in the media about players just not connecting to the coach anymore, Jürgen Klopp just not being as interested as he used to be anymore. And then from this week's game against West Ham where they drew 2-2, we had issues on the field issues between Salah and Klopp. And it seems to me that it's a dressing room that is not on the same boat and on the same page right now. And then the question has to come up, leadership, right? Leadership. Just because a coach is leaving doesn't mean everyone down tools. It should not be the case. Liverpool are at the precipice of trying to win a title, and all of a sudden, within the space of a week, which is the game they played against Atlanta, they lost a game to Manchester United, which was an interesting game from an FA Cup standpoint. They lost to Atlanta, and now they've lost a couple of points in their last two games. And it just seems to me that there's just a huge disconnect with leadership from a coaching perspective, and then with the players as well. Ayo, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when I think about it, because I didn't really watch the game, I only saw the highlights. So I don't necessarily know what happened, but I saw the highlights because of the alleged Salah and Pub spat. And to me, I think it's greatly overblown. We live in a media age where everyone's just looking for a little thing to do. What has struck me about Liverpool per se is that this is actually the perfect time for Klopp to leave. And it's a perfect time for Klopp to leave because his brand of football no longer works for Liverpool. So Liverpool were always built on the Gegenpress, high intensity, right? They smother you, and there's a clinical, ruthless nature. Like I used to like put Liverpool on par with Bayern like 3 years ago, meaning that if they had 7 chances, they would score 7 goals. Remember when they used to it's like Nedved Lewandowski, Gnabry, and those guys were that same thing with Mane and Mo Salah and the supporting crew. And so they had this intensity where they weren't really spectacular in technique wise, but they had an engine like Wijnaldum, Henderson, like Fabinho. These players will run you to the ground and to just keep that pressure on. And then on the other end, you give them 5 chances in the first 5 minutes, you're down 5-0. You're not coming back. And so in the last 2 seasons, but this season, they don't have that engine, and somehow their finishing is deserted them. And so without that engine, you're asking people, because you can't smother, your counter press is not as effective, so you can't regain position fast. And so people come at you, which is just not what Liverpool are used to. You're not supposed to get that many opportunities. You're not supposed to encroach into their box as many times. You're just basically trying to survive the entire time you're playing Liverpool. And the list of players they have, like Szoboszlai, Endo, Elliott, especially the midfield per se, specifically, even Gravenberch, I'm not super impressed. Like, they're gifted technical players, but they're not engines. They're not going to smother you. Your counter press is not going to be as effective. You can play past them. And then, we always have one of the wing back inverting. So they can play past you, you're exposed. Even though I really, really love Konate as a player. Like, if there's any defender, like, I wouldn't even take Van Dijk from Liverpool. I would take Konate because he's just such an amazing player. But there's only so much space he can defend, right? And so if you're inviting that pressure, you're leaking goals, and you're not scoring enough. On the other end, you're losing games. So out of the top three this entire season, Liverpool have been the most lucky. There's this thing that they have that makes them special, especially in cups. Not this year, but like Gerrard used to have it, where it's like, you shouldn't be here. But you scored like 3 goals out of nowhere. And so they were doing a lot of that this season. And at some point, your luck runs out. Where it's like, you just don't score that extra goal that you would have scored earlier in the season. And so I just think they've been living on the edge this entire season, and it's just not working out for them. I don't personally think it's Klopp, but I do think that his meta, he doesn't have the players for his meta, and I'm not sure where those players are globally as well. Like, I don't know where these engines are. Like, these workhorses in the midfield. Like, I can't think of many top players that do that. So it's almost like football has to move away from his meta now, and like Slot has to figure out something else that works. Maybe that's possession heavy. I don't know, but it's definitely the perfect time for him to leave. And I don't really think it's so much him. I think he just doesn't have the tools, and it's not clear where those tools could be found. Because I look at Szoboszlai, excellent talent, but I don't think intensity, that's what you're going to get. Elliott, he can be pushed off the ball. So you want someone like Elliott to counter press, you're not going to get that ball back. He's going to get turned. Endo is an amazing technical player, but he's 31. His physicality is not quite there. These kind of players, when you're up high, you're trying to press, you lose the ball, you're trying to counter press to get it back, which is the philosophy of Klopp's style. They're just going to play past you, or they're going to push you down and run past you. And so Liverpool is conceding. And on the other end, I know I've been saying patience with what's Uruguayan's face? I forget his name now. Darwin Núñez. I've been screaming patience. I don't know if he's gonna pan out, but like, they're just not scoring your chances. And like the Liverpool 3 seasons ago, you gave them 5 chances, you got 5 goals. That's what made them the scariest team to play against, even scarier than Man City. You gave Liverpool 7 chances, they'll score 7 goals. You give them 11 chances, they'll score 11 goals. They don't care. And I think that's the problem.
Excellent.
Personally. Yeah.
Excellent analysis, to be honest. As a Liverpool fan, I have to say this. It's so embarrassing to watch Liverpool play now. I think I agree with you 100%. So 3 things from my observation. I have them in my note. Number 1, we don't score. if you don't score in games, you cannot win games. You guys know Premier League, Sheffield United that just got relegated could play against Man City and score goals. But what makes Man City better is Man City is going to score goals back. So Liverpool, like you said, Ayo, we've been living on the edge. We don't score goals at all. Like terrible, terrible chances. Like we're being missed like crazy without naming names. So it's you have to score goals. Now, the other thing is the coach. You said it's not so much of the coach. I think it's a little bit of the coach. Here's the thing, and me, they might disagree as a coach, but we'll let you talk as a coach, here in a second. As a coach, when Jürgen Klopp said I'm tired, what he's saying is not I'm only physically tired, but I'm tactically tired.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, his style of game has been figured out. Everybody knows what Liverpool does. Now, knowing that the style of game has been figured out, the players that executed the style outstandingly are no longer in the squad. Now you have these new guys, fresh legs, a little bit of speed. They're not defensive. One, they're a little bit selfish. They don't score. There's so many chances that Manny will put past you. Salah stops scoring. There's so many passes that Firmino would just lay off for Mo Salah and Manny. There it is. And he will score himself. But now, the front four don't even score like that. So you can't get your goals. Now, tactically, when you have your midfielder no defensive mindset, yes, Endo is outstanding in the midfield. But think about the other guys. They wouldn't run like crazy. They wouldn't run like Ronaldo would run for you. Henderson will run like crazy. They don't, they won't do that. These current guys won't do that. Then you leave the other guys, you leave your defenders exposed. They already run forward. You leave them exposed. You're not tracking back enough. So it's not so much of I'm tired physically, I'm tired tactically. And you also have to look at it. The contenders are now slowing down. Man City is not slowing down. That's our number one big guy. I'm tired means, okay, I've done everything right. I put all these guys in here. But my God, I can't catch up with Man City. And here comes these guys, the Gunners. They are just ready to take down everybody. They scoring 3 goals, 5 goals in games. So I'm tired. It's not just so much of, fatigue. It's so much of, oh my God, I'm putting everything together. It's not hard enough. And I can't go back to, these guys will say, give me more money. I want Mbappe or I want Jude Bellingham. No, I can't say that because I already figured that, okay, if I buy all these younger guys, these guys that I thought would be good as replacement of Mbappe, and they're not doing the job. Luis Diaz is not doing the job. It takes so much for him to pass the ball. Sometimes he dribbles like crazy. So Mane would not do that. Mane is scoring goals and passing the ball. Nunes is missing chances. So what are we talking about? So it goes back to 3 things. You don't score. Your tactics are no longer effective, or you don't have the players that can make it effective. And the last one, just your general play is just, it has to change. It has to change. So I know we spend too much time on Liverpool, but it's an opportunity for amigos to, pitch in. Let us know what you think. When they mention Liverpool, when media mention Liverpool, if you're not on YouTube, you cannot see my face. My reaction was like, oh, not today. I don't want to talk about it. But we have to talk about it. So that's my own opinion. I'm gonna let I don't want to hear this anymore for today. I've had enough. So the next thing is just to go clean my face and cry in one corner. So let's talk about the teams that are doing well. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal is like all of a sudden they are a strong contender with Man City now. How did they start? What changed? Arteta changed a lot of things. And that's a coach that is not tired and he's learning. So I'm going to pass it on to Mide. As a coach, tell us, what are you seeing in Arteta and what is that thing that has changed that makes Arsenal like the number one contender in the Premier League? Then we'll pass it to the Arsenal man. Of course, he's going to say all these good things about his team because they're on top of the table. But let's hear you, Mide.
Yeah, he's gonna gloat. Ayo is known for that, but rightfully so, because yes, there's something about Arsenal this season, and I think it's three things. One, maturity. There is a maturity in that squad. I remember when Arteta brought a lot of those players in, especially last season and 2 seasons ago. Everyone in the media were saying they're too young, they uh, they're not, their decision making isn't as effective, they make the same mistakes over and over again. But Arteta kept them, and he removed stars like Aubameyang, Ozil, that, I mean, fans were raging about when they left. But the Kroenke family and the entire club stayed behind Arteta, and they knew why he had to make those decisions, because he has his own philosophy, which is a combination of Pep and himself. Two, he knew the players that he needed to get for his system. And it kind of goes back to why we may have to have this conversation for another day for Liverpool. Sorry, Sam, but to one of the points you made, I questioned the recruitment of Liverpool after Firmino and Mane left. There has to be a question asked about that, because if you have a system, the recruitment team and the player development team have to have a conversation with the coach to make sure that if there is a system, you have to buy players that can perform in that system, not random people or players that are cheap, right? But again, going back to Arsenal, one is maturity. They've matured, they've learned from their mistakes. There were critical games last season where their heads dropped and they lost that game, and that had an adverse effect on the entire title race that made Man City win. This season, there have been some critical games. Tottenham this week was one of those games that if you're going to win a title, even though you don't play well, you win those games. And this is the third game now that they've done something like this. That shows maturity. Number two, he has a spine. From a coaching perspective, you have to have a spine. Now, to the amigos, what does a spine mean? From a coaching perspective, a spine means when a coach has 7 to 8 players that not only understand the system and how it should be executed, but have the right mentality to be able to make those things happen and pull other players along with them, so that even when they're not playing well, they still that consistency. And then you build a team around that spine, to the point that when one person leaves that spine, whoever you're bringing in can close that gap to some extent, right? That's one of the reasons why United are in the same situation they're in right now. They don't have a spine. And even though you have a spine, doesn't mean the spine is strong enough. So that's what Arsenal have done. They've built that spine. It's taken a while to get stronger. They've learned from their mistakes. And then the third thing is the backing of the club. There is a structure that's solid above Arteta, and there's a close communication between that board and him in decision making, especially with Edu being in the picture as well too. They are finding players that are not only young but can execute that system. That's the reason why, again, Ayo, this has to be another segment for another day. I know you mentioned when they went to um, the Middle East for their winter break, and they came back. They started showing all these goals. I still question it wasn't just barbecuing. They just didn't only barbecue with their families. Something happened from a tactical standpoint that has changed the way Arsenal play. And I think that's what Liverpool is missing. they connect. Arsenal connects more. They switch the play more. They have overloads of players in the box when they attack. You don't see players walking. You see them running. There is a reason why. It's not just, oh, I'm a big player. I'm going to do whatever I want. No, everyone is somewhat on the same level and they're elevating themselves. So that's the reason why. One is maturity. Two is the recruitment that they've brought in. And three is the organizational structure he has above him.
Like
Well
it.
said, Mate. Mhm.
Outstanding. Before I pass it to IO, I want to say this. When you look at Arsenal, I agree with you on maturity, and I also agree with you on Arteta's discipline. You didn't use the word discipline, but when you look at what it did to Birmingham, what's that guy's name? Is it Lacazette? You know, uh,
Like I
the
said,
guy that,
Ozil,
like I said, I think, yeah, Ozil. I think, I think it's outstanding. It's not about your big name; it's about the big game. I want you to come in here, show up what you stand for. And I have to say this: when Arsenal offered the job to Arteta, I thought they were doing the wrong thing because it was about the same time. I think it was like a day or two after everything got what's Madrid's coach now, Ancelotti. So I was like, I was telling myself, like, if Arsenal really want to get back to Arsenal, there should have been a swap. Arteta should be going to Everton. Ancelotti should be going to Arsenal if they want a
mhm,
good result. So I want to admit that I am wrong because Arteta is doing an outstanding job with the discipline. If Liverpool can do that, if Nunes is not performing, last season we saw him miss a lot of chances. I will bring another striker as a coach. Arteta would let him sit down, bring in another guy. But we don't see that as a Liverpool fan. So that's what. Let me not take it back to Liverpool. Let's just, Arsenal has the stage now. So Ayo, back to you
yeah,
and talk
they
about
do.
Uh,
So
the.
annoying.
before
Yeah.
I even talk about Arsenal, I would just say with Liverpool, I don't think they have a problem per se. They just can't play gang press anymore, right?
Is that because they have the
Sorry
right player? Is that because they don't have the right players to do it?
for that
So
system, yeah.
is it a
They just don't have the
is
intensity.
that
Yeah,
okay? That makes
yeah. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, there's a reason we spent 110 million on Declan Rice, right? And we were courting him for like 7 months, and we spent a lot of money to get him. It's not just for some reason it looked like there was a ton of this kind of players before, but all of a sudden at the top there's not that many. And so like with Liverpool's problem, I'm like, I really can't think they try to get Caicedo, like even like looking at him, maybe he wouldn't have been a solution. Like it's the players that they're required to do this. And Elliot, you can't really say like Elliot is from your system, right? So he came in just per chance, and like you look at McAllister. I mean, you look at the profile of Gavenberg and Soboslai. It makes sense on paper that they could fulfill these roles, right? And so I personally don't think they necessarily chose wrong. Is that the players they brought in were not as mature? Like the maturity thing, it matters. Like you look at the age of Mane, look at the age of Saka, they're pumped. Like strikers, you really know what you're doing at 28, 29, right? And
Well, I
even
disagree.
nowadays, I personally
so.
think, I
It
think of the
depends.
best strikers, the reliable strikers. I can't think of anyone, right? Sorry?
No, just I disagree because when you look at Arsenal, you look at the
Mhm.
front three of Arsenal, or let's just say front four. How old is Saka? How old is Martinelli? I know,
Oh,
Jesus is
but
old, but the result, it doesn't matter. You can
see,
get the result.
but that's a different thing I'm getting to, right? Because but Arteta came with a different philosophy than what's it called than
Unai
Klopp.
Emery, that was the
Oh no, like in our Emery, I'm glad he left. But that and his approach is different in club, right? No, no, I'm serious. But I'm saying like to have those killers, right? Those people that you give them one chance goals. You think of your Harry Kanes. You look at like that is happening at later stages. You're not seeing many 26-year-olds with that clinical, you're not seeing 27. You start seeing them at 28, 29, maybe even 31, 32, right? And so they bought Nunes. I can see why they bought him, because they were afraid someone else was going to get him, and they hoped he'd grow into the role, right? You look at how Luis Diaz started. He was a scary player when he started. He had a lot of things go on, injury, things behind the scene. I still think Luis Diaz can make good. Like, I think Liverpool's missed Jota because he was a finisher. He's a guy, like, he was your best finisher, and they've missed him for like the majority of this season. And I do think the midfield behind them is super technically gifted. What they're not suited to is how Klopp plays. And Klopp, he's been trying to tweak. He's been trying to tweak. And the more he tweaked, the less effective, or the more holes that were appearing. So whenever you said that he was tired mentally, I was like, that's a feeling I got too. And I don't know how you can tweak your premise. You literally have to leave and think of a new meta, right? Or at least like work out all the kinks in what happens when I don't have the intensity, right? To actually control the game still, and then go. With Arsenal, I will say the biggest thing Arteta did was, you're right, he changed the culture of the club, where it's like everyone fights for the badge. But two things was that we have no passengers anymore. At any phase of play, there is no passengers. So if you look at the Tottenham game, even though we struggled a lot, see how much work Trossard did to keep that left side, what's it called? See how much work Saka did on the other side. See the machine that is Havertz the entire way. There was a game, I think it was we played Liverpool, or was it Man City? No, we played Man City, and he literally chased back to be the last defender to clear the ball. Like, that is our striker. Like, and so there's literally no passengers, and so much so that he said this earlier in the season, when everything doesn't go right, I want a team that is prepared to suffer. Meaning that everything's not going to go right. They can't get the ball. Like, if you look at when we played about Bayern, we couldn't do it to the end. But when we played against Tottenham, things were not working. I personally think our offense in the first half was terrible, and second half was mid. But we can suffer when everything is going wrong. When Raya, like, what's it called, passes to another player for them to score. When the penalty goes,
Yeah.
we bring on Kira, and we're going to suffer. They're going to come at us, and we're going to hold still. And that's why he bought big players. You see Tomiyasu, you see the height of our team go up. You see he bought Havertz. Havertz is like, if we can't pass it off our back, we're going to boot that ball up, and you are going to find a way to get it to your feet. And Havertz will do that. But he's remarkable. That was one of my biggest things. Like, I'm going to boot this, and at the end of that ball, if it's not the first phase, the second phase, you're going to get it on your feet, and we're going to start from your third. And I think it's kind of funny. He comes from Man City. You expect like technical, and he tried to do that, right? But will, desire, and like ferocity, kind of like outwills all of that, and which was the DNA of Liverpool, actually. What's it called? And he just like pushing the team, and everyone he's bringing tall, aggressive fighters. And our attack frustrates me a lot, right? I don't think we're clinical enough. I don't think we're decisive enough. I don't know we're killer enough. What we will do is that we will fight, and by battling, we will get the opportunities, right? Like, you see how we got the 2 goals from the set piece? Fight. Like, is White's going to occupy the, what's it called, the goalkeeper and put him off? Is Havertz going to push his way from one end of the goalpost to the other? Like, he'll fight. Like, you look at all these things where it's like, oh, we'll fight, we'll keep going. And even though it doesn't work out, at least we won't be blown away. And it worked. And so I think our beauty this season is that we became actually less technical and more like aggressive and combative. Like, it's a team that comes here to fight. Look at how Gabriel at the end of every challenge, you just see that energy where it's like, I mean, if we can't pass around, we'll bludgeon you. Like, sometimes we boot the ball and we outcompete them all the way to their goal. We don't passing their goal. We outcompete them all the way to their goal. I love that about team because I see a team that just won't wilt. That's all I would say. Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. What I also like that you've said is Arsenal grew, and kind of tied to what Mide said. Arsenal grew from, hey, we were like a babies, babies. We know what we're doing, but we just need to be more aggressive. We just need to be like, okay, we're okay. We can play the game, but you can't kick us around. So that's why you see it like, okay, they don't just kick the ball away for, trying to be defensive. But at the same time, if you mess around, we're going to counter you. We're going to come out at you and just keep scoring, keep scoring. So last season, you can push them away. They are tactically okay, but they just now like, no, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll let you have it. But now we're going for it and we're going to put everything we can. So outstanding, outstanding. Well, that's what Premier League is all about, to be honest. If you want to win Premier League, if you want to stay in Premier League, you cannot be like that. So, from a coach point of view, aggression, how important it is in Premier League. And look at these guys that are getting relegated. Who do you think will get relegated among the three that we have left?
No, that's a good question, Sam. For our amigos, relegation philosophy in the English Premier League, you have teams that end up with less than 45 points that get relegated, meaning 3 of the last 20 teams, whoever is the last 3, will get relegated to the second division of the English league table, and then you have another 3 that will get promoted to the Premier League from the Championship, which is the second level. From the Championship, out of those 3 that get promoted, 2 of them get automatic promotion because of the amount of points they accumulate over the season after about, I believe it's about 45 games, so I know they play more games than the Premier League, which is 36.
They
The
played
third
46
team,
games.
46 games, right. The third team has to play a playoffs with the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th team on the table in the championship. And once they play each other, there's a final usually at Wembley in south of London in England, where they play a final at Wembley to determine who the third team will be to get promoted to the Premier League, right? So as of now, Leicester is the first team that has been promoted to the Premier League, coming back since they won about 2-3 seasons ago. The next is a possibility between Leeds, between Hull, between teams like, I believe,
Have
Sheffield Wednesday. I might be wrong about that. It's been a while.
so
Anyways,
there's
there are 4 teams
Leeds,
that have to fight
there's
it out. Yes,
Ipswich. Yeah.
Leeds, Ipswich. Yes, yes. And so they have to fight it out towards the end of the season to get to that third slot, right? That being said, from a Premier League standpoint, right, fight, but with every Premier League, you have to have a standard, right? The standard is not just aggression. The standard is if we do not have that ball, we have to get that ball back within less than 3 seconds. That's why the top teams are doing well. You have players that are aggressive enough to win that ball for you. So as Ferguson always said this, right? Games are won or lost in the midfield. Very critical. That's why you notice some of these teams that are fighting relegation, they usually play about a formation that requires a 3-5-2 formation because they like to choke the midfield. But at the end of the day, that cannot sustain you through 36 games of a season. You have to have a system, right? And that system has to be able to adapt to different teams that you play. If you know you're going to play a team that's in the top 6 and above, you're going to have to change your tactics a little bit, right? If you know you have a team that's below the top 6 or below the top 10, you should be playing your identity of your style because the goal is to win those games manage the top 6 games, and find results here and there that will keep you above that 40-point mark at the end of the season to survive. Because what's going to happen is if you survive and not get relegated, out of those 20 teams, you're not part of the last three, there's a substantial amount of money that's given to your club that adds to your transfer budget to allow you buy players that can fit your system. So aggression should always be a standard, but your style of play should be able to be managed between certain games, and then certain games that you just have quality above your team, you should be able to manage those and fight as much as you can to reduce the goals that you scored on and to not lose too much points. Right now, to wrap it up, right now, I can see Burnley changing and impacting their position positively because right now they have 24 points. If they can get past that 26 mark, they go out of that relegation zone. And if they can keep that up and Nottingham Forest falls apart, they might just do it. But right now, it's going to be hard for them to.
Very good. I like that. Really, really good. Amigo, this is just top notch analysis. Wow. Make sure you share this content. Put your comment below. We might have you come talk about your club as well. I know there's a lot of Arsenal fans out there because every team that is doing well, surprisingly, has a lot more fans. So Hayo, last thoughts. Last thoughts.
Sure.
And I'll do you think with the games that we're seeing, games that we have left, do you think Arsenal is going to win it?
Oh, that's up to Manchester City. Yeah, it is. It's
Okay.
not. So Man City before De Bruyne came back, I could see them having wonky games. Uh, you bring the captain back, you bring that level headed, they just control game. Because like they're beauty in what they do, and it's very difficult to do. They smother games by not giving you the ball. If you don't have the ball, what are you gonna do? And a lot of teams try and do that. It's a very hard thing to do. But Pep has a way of has mastered that really. And so you have that fulcrum of Bernardo Silva, Rodri, what's it called? He puts Kevin in there, like you bring in a winger from either side, maybe you put Foden on there, bring him in, like they will just control game. And it's just hard for me to see. I hope Tottenham does something, Wolves maybe, but if they don't drop, all we can do is just win the games we have, and we've won difficult ones, so I see us winning more. Yeah. Mhm.
That's
And
good,
to clarify
especially
something I said about,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, and to clarify something I said about relegation, promotion, it is going to be between Ipswich, Southampton, Norwich City, and West Brom. So those 4 teams will have to play each other to get to 2, and then those 2 will play in the Wembley final to determine who the third will be. Right now, it's looking to me that Leicester's definitely been promoted. It's going to be between Ipswich and Leeds, and if Ipswich wins, then Leeds will have to play between Southampton, Norwich, and West Brom to figure out if they're going to be the third to get promoted.
Yeah, Ipswich has a game in hand too, so they could probably do it. It'd be cool to see. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Those guys are playing a lot of games. That's why you see them look tired. That's really good. So now, taking it back to the Premier League, Mide, do you think Arsenal is going to win it? Of course, Liverpool is not winning this thing. Um, they might not even make top three. Uh, do you
I
think
wouldn't go
Arsenal
that far. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
will embarrass them?
It's
Uh,
not that bad, sir. It's okay.
I just need to sleep about
It's
this and
okay.
forget about it.
Well, the banter
All right.
for you.
It's like Liverpool gonna get relegated this season, man. It's okay.
All right,
Do I
Mide.
think Arsenal? Do I think Arsenal's gonna win the title? After today, I am going to hold my thoughts because they are showing me they learned from their mistakes, and you just never know what can happen within the next 5 weeks of the season. So I take back what I said last week. They've impressed me after the last two games. Let's see how things play out, especially within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, fantastic. All right. I think Arsenal is more likely to win it than they were the last time we recorded. Last time, I thought Man City had it. But now, I think Arsenal has a better chance with a win over Tottenham. So we'll see. Two amigos agree on looking towards Arsenal winning it.
Yeah.
An
Like,
Arsenal guy is still
I'm
trying.
gonna say something. Tottenham couldn't stop us. Maybe they can help us, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, I
I'm sure
feel
they
like
love that.
Tottenham and with the win over Tottenham, really massive boost. I think Tottenham is going to probably drop points from Liverpool and Man City. In either of those two, there'll be some point withdrawal for those two teams, and that gives Arsenal a little bit of boost. So we'll see how everything runs, everything ends. Until then, we'll keep analyzing, we'll keep talking. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked this video, do all of this good stuff. Share this video with your soccer fan or football fan. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Until then, I have my two strong friends with outstanding opinion. Today, they helped me out and I didn't cry so much because of Liverpool. Guys, stay well, stay healthy. Say a nice word, say goodbye to amigos, to my friends.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys next week. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Stay positive, everyone. Stay positive out there.
Right?